The shirt was 3 sizes too big on her. It always had been. Daniel stood in his doorway, keys still in his hand, watching his younger sister curled into the corner of his couch like she was trying to disappear into the cushions. Her knees were pulled to her chest. Her hair was darker than he remembered, or maybe just unwashed. The grey fabric of his old university shirt swallowed her whole, the sleeves hanging past her fingertips. She didn't look up. "Mira," he said. She flinched. That told him everything. He closed the door quietly and set his bag down. The apartment was dark except for the light above the stove. She'd always been afraid of complete darkness. Some things, apparently, didn't change, even after 4 years of silence. "How did you get in?" His voice came out harder than he intended. She held up a key, the spare he'd given her when he first moved to the city, before the lies, before the stolen money, before she chose the pills over showing up to their father's funeral. "I know I shouldn't be here." Her voice was small, scraped raw. "I didn't know where else to go." Daniel crossed his arms. He'd practiced this moment in therapy, the boundaries he'd set, the speech about enabling and self-respect and how love sometimes meant letting people hit bottom on their own. But she was wearing his shirt, the one she used to steal when they were kids, back when their mother's boyfriends got loud and their bedroom walls got thin. She'd climb through his window and sleep on his floor wrapped in that shirt like it was armor. He'd told himself he was done being her armor. "Where are your clothes?" he asked. She pulled the fabric tighter around herself. "I left everything. I ran." "From what?" Silence. She picked at a loose thread on the sleeve. Daniel moved to the kitchen and filled a glass with water. He set it on the coffee table in front of her, far enough that she'd have to reach for it. She didn't. "You can't just show up after 4 years, Mira. I know. You stole from me. You lied to my face. You missed Dad's funeral to get high with." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know what I did." He waited for the excuses, the justifications, the manipulation that always came next, the tears that made him fold every single time. Instead, she said, "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking for one night, then I'll leave." Daniel sat in the chair across from her. In the dim light, he could see the bruise on her collarbone, the kind that had a clear shape. Fingers, his jaw tightened. "Who hurt you? It doesn't matter." "Mira, I'm handling it. I just needed somewhere safe to sleep." She finally looked at him. Her eyes were his eyes, the same storm gray their father had. "Please, one night." The thread she'd been pulling came loose. She wound it around her finger, tighter and tighter, until the tip went white. Their father used to do the same thing, nervous habit. Daniel exhaled slowly. "You hungry?" She blinked. "What?" "I asked if you're hungry. I've got eggs, bread I could make." He stopped. "Do you still like grilled cheese?" Something flickered across her face. Hope, maybe, or the memory of it. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to." He stood and moved to the kitchen. "But I'm making one anyway, you want it or not." "Yes." He pulled out the pan and butter. His hands moved automatically, the ritual familiar. How many times had he done this exact thing? Middle school, high school, that terrible year after their mom left. Making grilled cheese at midnight while Mira sat at the table, shaking, coming down from whatever she'd taken. He'd sworn he was done with this. The butter sizzled. He laid down the bread. "I'm 8 months sober," Mira said quietly, his hand stilled on the spatula. "What?" "I went to rehab. Court ordered after I got arrested, but I stayed longer than I had to." She was still winding that thread around her finger. "I got a sponsor, went to meetings, got a job at a diner." "Then why?" He gestured at her, at the bruise, at the way she was sitting like a hunted thing. "My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. He didn't like that I stopped using. Said I was boring now, said I owed him for supporting me when I was." She swallowed. "Anyway, I tried to leave 3 weeks ago. He found me, so I tried again tonight." Daniel flipped the sandwich. The bread was golden perfect. He'd made thousands of these. "Why didn't you call me?" The question came out quieter than he expected. "Because last time we spoke, you told me you were done, that if I wanted to kill myself, you wouldn't watch." She said it without accusation, just fact. "You were right to say it. I didn't deserve—" "Stop." He slid the sandwich onto a plate and brought it to her. "Eat." She took it with both hands. The first bite made her close her eyes. "It tastes the same," she whispered. "Same recipe, Same butter, same everything. She ate slowly, carefully, like someone who'd been hungry for longer than one night. He watched her, this stranger who was his sister, this ghost wearing his shirt. When she finished, she set the plate down and finally unwound the thread from her finger. The indentation stayed, a white ring on her skin. "I'm sorry," she said, "for all of it. For stealing from you, for missing the funeral, for being the kind of person who needed court-ordered rehab to get clean." She looked up at him. "For making you choose between loving me and protecting yourself." Daniel's throat tightened. "Mira, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know that I get it now, what I put you through, what I took from you." She pulled the shirt tighter. "I found this in your closet. I was cold, and it still smelled like that detergent you always use, and Her voice broke. "I just wanted to feel safe for one night." The shirt had been his armor first, years ago, before he gave it to her. A thing to hide in when the world got too loud. He'd forgotten about it, buried in the back of his closet. She'd remembered. She always remembered the small things. His favorite color, how he liked his coffee, the way he'd hum when he cooked. Even through the pills and lies, some part of her had held onto those details. He'd been holding onto anger for 4 years. She'd been holding onto him. Daniel stood and moved to the closet. He pulled out a blanket and pillow. "The couch pulls out," he said. "You'll stay until we figure this out." Mira shook her head. "I said one night, I meant it, I'm not going to." "I don't care what you meant." He set the pillow down. "You're my sister, and someone hurt you, so you're staying until you have somewhere actually safe to go." "Daniel, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking, I'm telling." He pulled out the bed frame. "Tomorrow we're filing a police report, then we're getting you into a shelter program if you want, or we're finding you a new apartment if you don't. But either way, you're not going back to him." She was crying now, silent tears that tracked down her face. "I don't deserve this." "Probably not," he said, "but I'm not doing this because you deserve it. I'm doing it because I'm your brother, and 4 years ago I was too tired to be that anymore, but I'm not too tired tonight." He sat back down across from her. The space between them felt enormous and paper-thin at the same time. "I can't promise I'm not still angry," he said, "and I can't promise this fixes everything, but I can promise you're safe here, for as long as you need." Mira pulled the sleeve of his shirt to her face and sobbed into it. The fabric darkened with tears, the same way it used to when they were kids, when the world was too much and he was the only solid thing she could hold on to. He didn't move to comfort her, not yet. They'd need time for that. Time to rebuild what broke. Time to learn how to be siblings again instead of addict and enabler, victim and savior. But he stayed in the room. He didn't leave. That was enough for tonight. Eventually, her breathing steadied. She wiped her face with the sleeve and looked at him with those storm-gray eyes. "Thank you," she said. He nodded. "Get some sleep. We'll talk in the morning." She lay down on the pull-out bed, still wrapped in his shirt. Within minutes, her breathing slowed into something like peace. Daniel sat in the chair and watched her sleep the way he used to when they were young, making sure she was still breathing, still there. His phone buzzed with emails he'd answer tomorrow. The dishes could wait. The world could wait. His sister was home. In the morning, he'd help her figure out the next steps. He'd call his therapist and ask how to do this without losing himself. He'd set boundaries and stick to them and probably fail sometimes, because that's what love looked like in real families, messy and complicated and never quite enough. But for tonight, she was safe. She was here, she was wearing his shirt, and he'd left the door unlocked without even knowing it. 3 months later, the shirt still hung in his closet, washed and folded. Mira had her own apartment now, a studio across town near her new job. She came for dinner every Tuesday. Sometimes she borrowed his shirts. Sometimes she brought her own. Last week, she'd shown up with a key, a new one for her place. "In case you ever need somewhere to go," she said. "You know, if you need to feel safe." He'd taken it without a word, added it to his keychain right next to his own. She'd noticed, smiled that small, careful smile she was relearning how to make. "Same butter, same everything," he'd said, and they'd made grilled cheese together in his kitchen while the light above the stove kept the darkness away. 2 people who'd spent years running from each other, finally learning how to come home. The shirt didn't fit either of them perfectly. It never had. But some things weren't about the fit. Some things were about the feeling that no matter how far you ran, no matter how much you broke, there was still a place that remembered who you were before the world got sharp. There was still someone who'd make you grilled cheese at midnight. There was still a door, unlocked, waiting.